Hello, everybody. May I have your attention, please? You can still eat, but I asked the presidents and leadership if they would give me an opportunity. I wanted to share my story. Everybody, for whatever reason, has an adversity or a challenge, right? You got something that you've been through, overcome, or you might be overcoming something. And so I asked them, I said, I'm ready to share my story. I've been talking to my husband, and I'm ready to tell how when I became pregnant, my journey, and how I didn't think I was going to be living here. So I'm here, and I want to tell you, I want to share. And the first thing I want to share, because I'm a visual learner, so I have pictures, so y'all excuse me, even though it's a PowerPoint, but I'm a visual learner. And so the first thing is this, and this is where I began to spin, but yet be excited. So this is the day I told my husband that he was expecting the gift that I knew God had to bring. Because for me, we got married in December of 2019. And I said, okay, God, now I'm up in age now, so if you're going to do your business, I need you to make it quick. And so March comes around, and I was able to bless him with some news that we're expecting. I said I could have given you a truck, but God has blessed us with a blessing. So at the same time, though, we had just got news. This is Memphis, so if you're from Memphis, this is what the reaction. We just got news that this whole big virus called COVID had just hit the world. What do? Doctors don't know how it's going to impact the babies. Nobody knows. We're just stressed, and I'm stressed, but yet trying to be excited, trying to hold it together. And y'all know the role that I play, director of recruiting and orientation. We are front-facing office. We can't face anybody. So you talking about work stress, home stress. And I remember going to the doctor, and I remember going to the doctor with my husband, and she said, well, you know, because of your age, you're high risk, so we're going to have to get you to go to a high-risk doctor. And I said, I understand. And so, you know, we make it along to the high-risk doctor. And then the high-risk doctor starts using terminologies and words that are unknown to the ear, but I knew that they were important. At the same time, we're having staff meetings and meetings with the student leaders on, hey guys, how can we formulate some kind of plan to reach the students, to reach the masses, and we're in COVID. And I remember us having this meeting, and my head is a little below the camera, because at that time I had a trash can beside me, and I stayed sick, I looked sick, but yet I was still trying to give it my all. Mentally, I knew I was checking out, but I'm supposed to be happy. My husband doesn't have any kids, and I'm supposed to be excited because this is his first, but yet it's still, I'm stressed. I get my powers of be saying, what we gonna do about enrollment? Enrollment, I'm trying not to lose this baby. I'm trying not to lose my mind, and what's supposed to be happy, I become depressed and pregnant. And so this is what I heard. I'm scared. The doctor says this P word, placenta previa, and I'm like, what is that? And that's where I know you're eating when the baby sits on the cord and it can rupture. And you mean to tell me I'm in danger of a possible miscarriage for the gift that I want to present to my son, my husband. And then I'm disconnected from schools. I'm disconnected from y'all. I'm disconnected from everything. I'm an extrovert, so I feed the energy off of people. I need people. And then my doctor's saying, no, you're going to stay in the house. You can't go anywhere. And I'm like, oh my God. And then the powers that be says, well, we need one person to come and cover the office, and we need to do information sessions, and we need to do all of that. And so I'm meeting with my team at that time. I'm like, hey guys, I need y'all to have my back. The doctor said he don't want me in front of people because they just don't know, can you cover me? Of course they said, we got you. But internally that hurt because I couldn't be present at that moment. I was diagnosed with preeclampsia, and then gestational diabetes. Oh, and the HB, that was the reason why I had the bucket. Normally, some people can get through it within their first trimester, but for me, I stayed sick all 9 months. So I started turning the Zoom camera off. Did I tell you I was working on my doctoral program? I was working on my doctorate at the same time. What was I thinking? And then again, I get the reminder, we have low enrollment. What are y'all doing? So I'm trying to live. I'm trying to live. Fast forward. I will never forget, it was around June, and we were getting our performance evaluation, and I remember getting a ding for being disengaged because I didn't have my camera on. And then I got angry. Because I felt like powers that be didn't care about the wealth and health of my well-being and my son, and I became bitter, angry, bitter, fear, all of the emotions, right? So, baby showers. You don't know, part of my side hustle with my mom, she has always been an event planner and cook and all that kind of stuff. And so I like to do events, and I like to do them big, and I like to present them. But I didn't get to do that. I didn't get to have that moment. I didn't get to have the fruitful baby showers like you see on social media. I didn't have nothing here. I had a drive-by at home that was like, here come the cars. Okay, whoopee. I had nothing. And so I'm already in my head, I'm already in this frame of mind of disconnection, of solitude, and feeling like nobody cares about me. At the same time, Chat State had the nerve to be going through a sex DLC reaffirmation at the same time. And I remember it being October, and this is the time where they're coming. And I remember telling my boss at the time, I said, listen, I'm gonna have to check out faster. I'm sorry, I cannot do this. It's either me and my baby or Chat State, and at this moment, I'm choosing me and my baby. So I was supposed to start working in November, but I was able to stop the end of October. And Brad said, I'll talk with you if we need you. Debbie said, if we need you, and all that good fun stuff. Had to make the decision where we're gonna go have a baby. My other two boys were born at Park Ridge East. They have a nursery. They got you. I know the nurses. I love the nurses there. Our insurance shifts. So we can't go to Park Ridge at that time. I have to go to Erlanger. Are you kidding me? So I have to go to Erlanger East. Where they don't have a nursery. And my last childbirth, I almost hemorrhaged. So my mom knew the signs. She knew what to do, but because of COVID, only one person could be there. So what do? My husband's new. Y'all know who he is. And he is just so excited, and he's just so nervous. So we have the baby. And we go into this little room, and I remember they're cleaning him and all this kind of stuff, and they just roll me right there. And then they put the baby back on my belly and said, you can hold him. I'm like, I can't do anything right now. I'm still feeling some kind of way. And they said, well, we'll put him in his bed and we'll roll him to the room. I said, you could just send him to the nursery. She said, we don't have one. I said, well, who's supposed to have my husband? And they said, well, you can press the button if you need them. I said, I can't hardly feel. I can't hardly breathe. I'm lethargic. I'm going through all of the emotions that I knew could possibly happen. And my little husband, I'm looking over at him, and he's shaking with the baby, and he's like, what am I gonna do? I said, well, call my mama. Call mama, she'll tell you how to take care of me. In the meantime, we're just gonna figure it out. So he's FaceTiming, I'm panicking, I'm supposed to be smiling, I'm crying, I'm not feeling well, I'm having reactions to medicine, and I'm still in my head. Check this out. When he was born, that's him. When he was born, he was the joy to his side of the family, the Thomas side, because the Thomas side hadn't had any grandchildren, so he was the first grandchild on the Thomas side. On my husband's side, well, on my side, we got a bunch of folks. So it wasn't new on our side, but that was the special. That was my prince. At that time. We come home. This is how my boys had to hold my child, their brother, with masks on. That was the saddest moment of my life, because I'm like, they can't even really love and hug on their little brother because of this old thing called COVID. And so in my mind, I began to spiral real bad. And I knew something was going on, but because of my faith, sometimes when you get stuck, you get stuck in that spiritual world, you're like, I can do it, I can fix it. No, you need a therapist. You need a therapist that can help you. And I remember going to the doctor and my husband saying, he said, I just want my wife back. You're looking at an empty shell. She's not there. I want my wife back. I knew I wasn't there. I knew I wasn't fully Keisha. I wasn't excited. I should have been, but I wasn't excited at all. And so I started carrying everything, and I started gaining weight, and I ate ice cream. I turned to everything that you could think of, besides living in the moment. But then this is what happened to me, y'all. December 2020. My family is really close, and my older nephews were like the boys that I wanted to show them the world. I wanted them to be able to see things, because I know with my sisters, they didn't have everything to give, but if I had it, I would give. And I will never forget, but the grandparents on my husband's side came up from Atlanta. They're loving on the babies, meeting baby Andrew, and then they leave, and then I get the loudest scream on the phone, and it's my niece, that one. And she said, Auntie, somebody shot Tay. And I said, huh? And then somebody else grabbed the phone and they said, Tay is dead. Now, Tay was a former football star here at Red Bank, and he was the first on his maternal side. We share fathers. My sister and I, we share fathers, but on his maternal side, no one had been to college. No one had even graduated high school, but these right here, my babies, I was making sure that they were going to break that paradigm, break that curse, as we call it. But he got shot? Are you kidding me? Okay, so I call my daddy, we go over, and it's like a movie. I walk into where they are. We were in East Lake Projects. I walk in, and everybody stops so they could just see how my expression or how I was going to react. And I walked in and I kept my head down and I looked up and I see my sister sitting on the couch next to each other with their heads together. And I went and I grabbed his mom. And I didn't have words. I just grabbed, I loved and allowed her to cry and to release. I didn't have a full capacity. My jar was already full because I'm dealing with everything that I'm dealing with. But here I am having to take on more. So I sit there, we're talking, and then we planning a funeral. And then fast forward, January, I'm finishing up. February, I finished my doctorate, believe it or not. I finished it, couldn't believe it. Should have been even more excited. Now it's almost time to go to work. The last week of February, I was due to come back to work. And I remember having another meeting with the powers that be, because I've been gone. And one of the first things they said was, what we're gonna do about enrollment? I don't know, I'm just getting back. And that mind said, I haven't grieved like I needed to. I'm still not well. I don't have any more time to take off. We're gonna do the best that we can. I know I can do it. We're gonna do the best that we can. So we start planning and seeing how things can go. This right here, this is the baby brother to Tay. And he would put messages and he didn't want to live and he couldn't face it without his big brother. And here I am trying to put my feelings and how I'm feeling to the side, and I'm trying to give them life. I'm trying to give them all an auntie. Auntie is not whole, but I'm trying to give them the best auntie I could give. And I put the last threads that we had on our Facebook message because he was saying things. He was saying things publicly like he didn't want to live. He was saying things like he just couldn't do life. And I would tell him, you make me cry, I love him. And the last message that he said, I called him Mo. He said something, and he said he loved me. 9 days later, folks, my baby didn't wake up. This one right here lived with me. He lived with me. So him and my oldest son were like two peas in a pod. And then he's no longer here. I get another phone call. I heard this sound before. Screaming, oh my God, they take, Kobe is gone. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. So, get in my car, my husband, call my daddy, mama, all call and say, what has happened? I get over to where my sister lives, because this time is at my sister's house. And they have all the police and everything, and they're not letting anybody in the house. And my sister, she's loud, she's screaming, she's like, I just need to see my baby, I just need to see my baby, I just need to see my baby. And the paramedics, everybody's like, no, you know, we can't let anybody go in. And I stopped and I said, ma'am, let me tell you, I said, my sister just lost her oldest son just almost 3 months ago. Can she please just touch her son for the last time? And so they let her go in by herself with them. And just like another movie, I'm standing on the porch and here comes the body bag out the house. And so mentally I'm like, oh my God, this is a sight to see. But let me tell you this, what we found out. So this was on a Thursday. On that Monday at their house, a caseworker comes knocking at their door. This caseworker was the suicide hotline person. My nephew had called and said he wanted help. They came Monday. He died Thursday. So I said, okay, we're gonna figure this out. Now my sister at this time, she's just ready to give up. I knew that I had to try to be here. I had to try to be here. I tried my best to give it, to live it, to really try to walk it. Oh boy, it was extremely dark. And then here's Chat State. We're on the rebound. We're on the rebound trying to pick back up from post-COVID. We're trying to get there. So we're trying to creatively think about how we can help with enrollment and think about how we can re-engage with the students and think about all these things. And so I'm still bitter because I felt like I didn't have the hug and the love that I thought I would get from my work family, from my home family. I felt alone, and I felt like I had to carry it by myself. I felt like I was by myself. And so I get another phone call. You wouldn't believe this. You just can't make this up. You mean to tell me I'm getting another phone call, Dr. Pat? I get another screaming phone call. I've heard this sound before. I don't want to hear it. I've heard this sound before, and I become numb. And this time, it was one of the family members that called and said, I need you to get to the hospital now. And by that time, Shirley, they kind of feel how I felt. They were like, no, Keisha, because the last time you got phone call, it wasn't good. I said, I gotta go. I said, I will message you and let you know how things are from there. So I get to Erlanger emergency room, and then I hear the screams loud. And then I find out that my niece, the sibling to all of this, the baby girl, is gone. This one here was, she had a VBAC. So if anybody medical, she lived and a heart pump with that bag. And so if that bag was unplugged, come loose, that was it. She went to sleep and somehow the cord came loose. And she took her last breath that way. I am trying to stay on top. I'm trying to hold the car. I'm trying to be a new mama. I'm trying to grieve. I'm trying to be the best auntie. I'm trying. And I lose it. And I remember telling my husband, I said, honey, listen, if I'm not here, I want you to do this. I want you to tell my kiddies this. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. And he was like, oh, no. The devil is a lie. And if you know my husband, you know he's praying and he's doing his good thing. And so we go back to the doctor. And the moment that got me, the moment that I think I started seeing light is my baby boy started rejecting me. And he just would gravitate to his father because my baby son felt that I was closed off. He felt everything. I'm like, oh Lord, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. And I'm praying, I'm crying. I couldn't show that here because if I showed it here, you know, statistically they say if a black woman cries, they say she's weak. If a black woman is angry, they say she's a mad black woman. If a black woman laughs, they say she's not serious enough. So I having to compress that here in this particular workspace. At the same time, I'm trying to hold it together. So what happens? How do I bounce forward? after going through all of this, this is me in my mind, this is me, this is what I'm going through, rejection, depression, breakdown, frustration, all this kind of stuff. So I sat down with the Mary Naff. Watch this. September, before Mary passed in October, September, Mary comes to the office. She said, how you doing? I said, I'm trying, Mary, I'm trying, it's hard. She said, I know. And we're talking, I said, yeah, I said, I'm going to, not September, she came in August. I said, I'm going to Clinton, Tennessee, that's outside of Knoxville. And I said, I'm going, my aunt is having a birthday party. Because in the middle, I didn't show all the other, uncle had died too. And I said, we're going so we can support auntie for her birthday. She said, Clinton, Tennessee, she said, my people are from there. She said, Mama's cousin was a pastor up there. I said, what was his name? She said, Pastor Caldwell. I said, Mary, that's my uncle. She said, what? We're related. I think so. I'm related to everybody. I feel related. I really am. And we're talking, and Mary's pouring into me. And then I start pouring into Mary, like I'm just all together. I said, Mary, let me tell you something. This job gonna be here. You gotta live. You got a grandson. You can retire. Girl, you got money. Go live, honey. Go live. Mary was trying to say, call your husband, see if he got something part-time. I said, no. When you retire, you gonna go live. You gonna go to Charlotte, wherever your daughter go, you gonna go. So I invited her to come to Clinton. She comes to Clinton, so she get a chance to see, my family sings. She get a chance to see my family sing, and she gets the chance to meet my family. And it was so remarkable, but she poured into me. And there's a song I heard on American Idol called Heal. And the snippet says, take my mind and take my pain, like an empty bottle takes the rain, and heal, 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 heal. And I heard that just not too long ago, and I remember what Mary was saying, and I said, I gotta live. I got to live. So I started looking at my health, and I'm going to the doctor because I was diagnosed with diabetes, because y'all saw all of that other stuff. And I said, I can't. I'm ready to live. I got to live. I've got to overcome this darkness, okay? And so what I did, I started relinquishing the control of how I feel that others feel. I can't control it. My family told me I had just shaded them. I know I shaded them because I had to shut myself down. But internally, it was bothering me because I was so worried about what other people think. I was so worried, and I realized I had to relinquish that control. There's a book from Mel Robbins that says, and she says this in the book, when you let them, she talks about the let them theory. Let people think how they think. Let people feel how they feel. When you let them think what they want, it gives you the freedom to do what you want. When you align your thoughts and actions with your values, you will be proud of yourself. So I'm getting my mojo. I'm losing a little weight. I'm releasing. I relinquish control of rejection. Feeling rejected. Every time you want to do something, they're rejecting you. You're feeling like you're not good enough. Let them. Theory says, let them think how they want to think. You can't control it. You can only control the things that you can. That's your self-indulging. That's your self-care. And so I started doing my morning devotions. I just started trying, and in the office, I play my music that gets me excited, and we're talking and we're vibing. And then when I realized I got to relinquish the control of acceptance, feeling like I'm not accepted. This is in my mind, and focusing on things that I can control. What can Keisha do? And if you all remember, I did this thing called Just Because. I was just sending out gift cards. I would randomly close my eyes and look at the directory, and I would just send out a Starbucks gift card. And I don't know who got it, but I was like, here, because that's something that I could do to help me feel better. Something that I could do to show the love, because that's just what I want to do. I want to feel better. And then I realized I want to start doing things that continue to make me proud. There's a scripture for me I needed, and it was called, be the light. Light shines in darkness, and the darkness can never overcome it. If I continue to try to be a light, if I can just see just a little bit of the wick, I'm gonna be okay. So that's what I started doing. Training my mind and practicing emotional intelligence. Things were still coming at me, and rightfully so, I should have snapped. But then I realized, no, I can control this. Let people feel how they feel. Let them think how they want to think. It's about you, girl. You gotta get it. You gotta get it together. Take care of your mental, your spirit, your physical, and your financial. And love yourself. Last but not least, this is the saying that I say. When I change the way I see me, the me I see will change. And so my new motto is this. I'm going to rise above and I'm going to push beyond. That's my story, folks. And I just hope that I can encourage you that if whatever valley, dark place, if you've ever felt some kind of way, know that you can still rise above and know that you can push through. That's my spiel. Thank you. This is my one of my go-tos. This is new. It's called the